Welcome to Calling All Growers. I'm your host, Liz Grow, and I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. Tonight is the hands-on workshop where you will learn from the best in the game. As you know, growers are the superstars of our industry, and there's nothing more valuable than to get one-on-one time with them. So tonight, we're so lucky to have award-winning cultivators from Humboldt County, James Buer and Wendy Kornberg, here with us to teach us the secrets of growing bigger, happier, just more wonderful buds in our lives. James, welcome to Calling All Growers Workshop. Thanks for being here.
How's it going, Liz? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's going awesome. I literally count down the days until I can talk to you and Wendy, just general about what's happening in Humboldt and how the flowers are growing and how the vibe is. How are things in Humboldt?
Well, for us, season has started super late because it rained pretty late and then cold nights stayed pretty late. So we're still planting when normally we'd be pulling light depth tarps right now. So we're quite a bit behind when it comes to the farm. And then as far as Humboldt County, I mean, not to be a downer, but it's rough out here. A lot of farmers aren't farming again. Someone in the community killed themselves recently because it's when things on the farm get hard, they get hard for everything. So yeah, I mean, it's there's definitely been some stuff that's been down for sure, but there are some really cool opportunities happening, and it seems like the regenerative movement is gaining some steam, and people caring about it more and caring about the legacy craft farmers that helped make Humboldt and the Emerald Triangle what they are. A lot of them have been forced out. So,
Right.
it's a positive thing to see that there is a lot of communication and talk around that issue now, when
Mm-hmm.
before there really wasn't. So,
Good. And
um,
we're around the issue of just like farmer isolation or these legacy growers getting pushed out and that kind of taking its toll on the community.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, I mean, I certainly knew about Humboldt County, growing up when I was a kid. I'm from Michigan. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I actually moved out to California, I thought they had it on lockdown. I thought they had it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they did have it figured out like 10 years ago when it was set up for patients and caregivers.
Right.
And when it went legal recreationally, basically all the dispensaries disappeared overnight and patients lost their caregivers. So
Mm-hmm.
what's happened is the people who made Humboldt what it is have been squeezed out by taxation and policies that have benefited large farms. And a lot of small farmers were capitulated to by legislators. They were promised big promises that would protect them, and
Yeah.
they went back on it. I mean, it's the same old song and dance when it comes to legislators.
Right.
But yeah, so the small farmers have been fucked over, and there's very few that have been able to, coordinate with each other and make kind of a stand. But even now, uh, they're struggling.
Yeah. So what if anything can the consumer do to help farmers in Humboldt? Because the cannabis consumer in America owes a debt of gratitude to farmers in Humboldt. We couldn't get it from anywhere else for a very long time, unless it was from the Emerald Triangle. It being this miraculous plant that is medicine to so many of us. So yeah, what can we do to help?
Well, I think, it's probably a deeper issue than just Humboldt farmers.
Hmm.
I think it's a small farm thing overall. It actually touches on our food production as well.
Hmm.
Um, I think, specifically for, the legacy in Humboldt and around cannabis farmers, conversations like these, people actually trying to get that cannabis to where they're at. And the only way
Hmm.
that's going to happen is by, connecting and getting a loud voice. The only way you have a loud voice is a massive numbers. So the more people connect, the more people from these different pockets of regenerative agriculture come together and start talking, then we can make a lot better progress when it comes to forcing corporations, or really just making them see what the inevitable end game is. But I think
Right.
overall, supporting your small farmers, support small farmers, get into growing your own food, back that, actually do some research, vote with your money, find out who
Mhm.
you're supporting. There are a lot of people in the industry who have a lot of hype behind them, but they're not good people. They've just made a name for themselves, and they were able to capitalize when a lot of people weren't, because it wasn't set up for the people who actually made the game what it is to
Yeah.
benefit. It's
Yeah.
people who came in with a lot of fucking money and clout who were able to make something happen.
Who wrote the rules? Yeah. Yeah. And sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, everything you're saying is just like making me more and more agitated, because the people who wrote the rules aren't the people who honed the craft and did the work. And I feel like as a result of the small farmer getting squeezed out of this, we're going to really suffer. Quality is going to suffer all around. It's like more of big cannabis. Hi, Wendy. Yay. Sorry to interrupt this very serious conversation, all of you out there listening and watching, but we have with us Wendy Kornberg, second generation Humboldt grower, here to join us for the workshop today. So welcome, Wendy. Better late than never, baby. And just like a farm woman, she's doing shit.
Try not to get attacked by all the dogs.
Always doing something. So, hey, Wendy, you just hopped in on a really fun part of the conversation where we're talking about small farms and what can be done, I think, to support your legacy grower and your small farmer and, maintain this dream of being able to farm your land and sell your crops to your neighbors and make a living.
Yeah, it's challenging to say the least. And I think that, the big question really tends to be for people out there that are watching, like we get it a lot, like, what can we do to support you? And, there's honestly times where I'm just like, gosh, I don't even know anymore. There's big picture things, which are like, write your congressman, write your senator, write the president, write the people who are making the laws that oversee what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then from a day-to-day perspective, it's like, pay attention to where you buy your food and your medicine. Pay attention to where it comes from. When I go to the grocery store, I'm really blessed that I can go and see things that's like locally grown, and it will tell me the farm that it came from. We have a lot of farmers markets around here. When summer hits, we're able to literally support with our dollars. And, and in that case, like, feel free to send extra money to your favorite farmer randomly. We all have PayPal, we all have Venmo, a lot of us have Patreon. I don't.
That's
but
brilliant.
You can always feel free to do something like that, which supports directly and immediately. And it is just, it's challenging. States that don't have regulations yet, I'm like, God, you guys almost are in a blessed point where you can have the opportunity to influence what happens and how that will flow through to what you'd like to see. I mean, if you want to see mass produced, Marlboro weed cigarettes on your liquor store, you have the opportunity to influence your regulators to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to actually have craft cannabis, you have the opportunity to influence your regulators and your policymakers to support that specifically and to create regulations that make it easier, not harder. We actually just got some very interesting news in Humboldt County this morning. Our director of the planning department, who's also our director of the cannabis department, resigned. He just quit. And apparently there's possibly some lawsuits coming down the pike from abatement programs where they're telling people they have to rip down their houses because they're not permittable, because somebody once upon a time grew weed on the land. And it's just all this nonsensical stuff that it's like, it's amazing to see how a robust industry under the medical era has literally been absolutely destroyed to such a level in such a short period of time. It is mind-boggling.
Wow.
And it was all about how the policy got written.
Yep.
So,
All
you
about how the
know,
policy got written, and that's something that we can control. We have to stay vigilant and not expect that not expect that those writing the policy have our, patients' best interest in mind, right?
yeah,
And that's so important. And I hate that you are going through that, but it really is cautionary tale to states like Texas, who
yeah.
are just, starting, who don't even allow farmers to truly farm. But
Well, we don't
well,
really hear either.
yeah, wow. You used to though, man. You used to.
Yeah.
There was a time, the golden years. What were those golden years for you guys in Humboldt?
Um, probably up until Prop 64, honestly. The really good time was when we had Proposition 215,
Yeah.
and it was, regulated but loosely. There were really huge flaws in that, like, we didn't have testing. As an organic grower, I didn't see why it was such a big deal until the testing came in, and then I realized how many people were failing testing, and I was like, oh, oops, okay, that's a necessary component. We should have safe medicine, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but really, it was before corporate policy got engaged, and I mean, not to get super political, I mean, but we're already there, so what the heck?
Yeah.
The truth is that we're in America, and America is a capitalist society. We treat corporations as people.
Mhm.
That is an inherent flaw in the base of how business is done. If we treated small businesses like people, that would be great. If we treated people like people, that would be great. But when we say Coca-Cola is a person, we have problems. When we say
Mhm.
Marlboro is a person, we have problems. When we say Bayer and Monsanto is a person, we have massive problems.
Massive
And especially
problem.
because those people are multi-billionaires that can hire as many lobbyists as they want to, influence all the policy that gets made, because their main goal is to squash the small farmer
Mhm.
and or the small business person even in general. So it's one of those things that it's like I do see that there is a paradigm shift happening. I do see that there is a heavy push, oddly enough, with the starting mostly with the millennials that are saying, like, I don't want a big house on the seashore. I want a tiny home in the mountains. I don't want to have this huge overhead of bills and debt and craziness. I actually just want to be able to live my life, and I want to
Mhm.
be able to support other people that are living their lives happily and freely.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I see there is momentum.
Mhm.
It's not yet at the level that it's influencing policy. So, again, for younger people that want to and see the value in being able to live your life how you want to, you need to start getting active politically, because otherwise things don't change and the rich old white guys keep making the same rules they have been. And sooner or later, your tiny home is not going to be permittable and you're going to be bulldozing it too. So
Mm. Whoa. And on that note,
I'll get
my
off my
God, I love
soapbox.
it. You bring the fire immediately. On that note, I think we're coming up on our first break so our supporters can get their messages in. But don't go anywhere, because when we're back, we've got Wendy Kornberg and James Rear talking about the secrets of Humboldt County and growing the best ganja and good things and bad things and real talk, because that's really what you get here on Calling All Growers. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after the break. The yurts. Being the 420 traveler that I am, I Google 420 friendly bed and breakfasts and places, and this place pops up and I'm instantly intrigued. I'm like, what? It's a yurt in the middle of a golf course. And it's so beautiful. It's like you're in the freaking 420 Shire.
Yes.
And it's 420 friendly.
In the middle of pristine golf course, canvas cottages.
One of the benefits of staying is you get canvas cottages that you can hotbox, and also you get this golf cart. I wish I had mushrooms. That's all
Go go to Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Coachella Valley, go. It's so easy and it's just so much fun.
With those things that we did, those adventures that we went on, there's still more coming. They've been approved for the first coffee shop, cannabis coffee shop. These are really, really exciting things that are pretty cutting edge, and they're happening right out there in that sweet little desert space.
Yeah.
So get your tuchus to Coachella Valley.
Patrick, we slept in a tent last night.
In the middle of a golf course?
Yeah, in the Coachella Valley.
We spent a day doing cannabis adventures, and then we came to a 420 friendly camp out.
Yeah, we definitely hotbox that yurt.
Up top! We're bringing our Crontrage next time.
Definitely bringing our Crontrage next time.
Some days I'm like, fuck spitting. Nah, just kidding. I'm always crashing like my phone cause it's bug ridden.
He's about this tall and he looks like Santa Claus. Bruce is a hoot. I voted for Hillary. I'm still on probation right now. There's Dr. Hardison.
Hey, you want to grow your own plants? Check out Style Lighting's Grow Kit. It has everything you need to become an expert home grower and bring the power of the sun indoors. Style Lighting uses TCP's high-powered commercial LEDs that deliver twice the output in the market. The Grow Kit has a grow bag, a timer, chains to hang the light, and of course the best in the business lighting system by TCP. Check out stylelighting.shop for more information.
Hi, my name's Tai Chang. I'm the president and founder of Aloha Green Apothecary in Hawaii. We're a vertically integrated medical cannabis company with 3 dispensaries, 1 extraction lab, and 1 cultivation center near the North Shore of Oahu. We have over 150 employees now, and we've been working with Adaptive HR to meet our human resource needs. We're super excited to work with them as we expand, and we've grown at least 2-3 times over the last 2 years. So we look forward to a good relationship with Adaptive, and come visit us in Hawaii anytime. Aloha.
Hi, my name is Janice O'Reilly. I'm a partner with AAF CPAs, a national CPA firm that specializes in cannabis. We're based out of Boston. We have been working with Adaptive HR for several years and have recommended them to our clients, who have all been extremely happy with their service and their responsiveness.
Calling All Growers with Liz Grow is supported by the Grow Kit from stylelighting.shop, Adaptive HR, built for your cannabis business, Revolutionary Clinics, where the patient comes first, by Accounting Buds, your accountant in cannabis, and by Salient Video Surveillance Systems for today and tomorrow's security.
Welcome back to Calling All Growers, everyone. I'm your host, Liz Grow, and tonight I'm so excited to be joined by 2 award-winning Humboldt cultivators. First, we've got Wendy Kornberg. She's a 2nd-generation grower from Humboldt. She's the co-founder of Cannabis Full Sun Farms, and she's also the co-founder of the Supernatural Organic Cultivators Conference. James Buer is the founder of the Organic Cultivators. It's a group on Facebook that has a little bit over 13,000 active participants. And he's also the co-founder of the Supernatural Organic Cultivators Conference. So we're just so lucky to have you guys here tonight to teach us the tips and tricks and secrets and get real about growing. And so I want to welcome you. Welcome back.
Thanks, Liz.
Hi.
Yeah, so I also want to make a little announcement before we dive into tonight's lesson that James and Wendy will be the faces of the 4th Wednesday of every month in the Calling All Growers workshop. I mean, honestly, there's just so much knowledge between the two of you, knowledge and experience, and the passion for education that you have is really what makes you guys so special. And so I think it just makes sense to have you guys every single month with guest cultivators, teaching tips and tricks, answering all the questions, and just doing what you do. So thank you guys for doing that.
Well, we very much appreciate the opportunity. Educating people is something that is definitely a passion of mine and James's as well. And the more we do it and the more involved we get, the more we realize that there's so much need for really good information. And I've always been a firm believer that there's no such thing as trade secrets in farming. Everybody that we help to farm better helps our planet to be a better place and helps to put better food and better medicine on the tables. So there's no loss in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I think the secrecy is as just a response and reaction to prohibition. We're scared, we're paranoid, we're, scared of each other almost because our government has made us afraid. And by teaching the tips and tricks and being open and accessible to growers, certainly in the chat rooms are open, I have to say. So if you have any burning questions, ask now of James and Wendy, and I'll ask them live. There's nothing off limits
down
here.
there.
All right.
There's down there.
Already one down there. Yeah. Okay, good. This is a great question to start with. And then we can get into the lesson. What's considered a small farm?
Oh, so what's crazy is literally yesterday or the day before, there was this exact question on this Mendocino Cannabis Alliance group. That's a Facebook group. It's Mendocan Action. And we started talking about definitions. What is a small farm? What is craft cannabis? What does this mean? And, it's definitely a small farm in agricultural terms is a little different than a small farm in cannabis terms, because agricultural small farms, you can plant 5 acres of tomatoes, and it takes some doing, and it takes some trellising and tying and, doing all the things you do to tomatoes, but it is nothing compared to the amount of energy that you need to put into cannabis to get it to be really good craft quality. So, I think that there isn't a hard definition yet of what is a small cannabis farm. Most people in California and certainly in the legacy industry would probably say a small is 10,000 square feet or at least under 1 acre. My definitions kind of come from more of like when I think about wine. So I think that a small farm, or specifically a craft farm that is quality, whatever it might be, fill in the blank, grapes, cannabis, fruit, vegetables, whatever, is however many people that need to be there that get hands on almost every plant at least once a day. So you could have a 100-acre small farm if you're employing 1,000 people. I still think that could be something that is considered, it's not small, but it could still be craft, because you have enough manpower to maintain the health and vigor of every single plant, its individual life space and everything. But once you start getting up into, you have machinery that is tilling the ground, and you have whatever the big machines are that cut the wheat down. I can't have a name. Once you
Thresher.
Harvester, there you go. That's the one. Yeah. Once you start getting into where you need machinery to maintain or to harvest or to, even planting, I think that's when you start getting out of the scale of small and definitely out of the scale of craft.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like the market has grown because of the small craft grower, right? Because we've been in prohibition and we've had to do so in small batches. Now we're moving into this time of big cannabis, which is fine, which I think that's perfectly fine, to understand how a market is built. And we need the big guys. We need the big cannabis. I think we do.
I agree.
And just like we have the big wine, right?
Yep.
Like those boxes fly off the damn shelves, and sometimes I'm buying it. Okay.
Exactly.
But you know, it's knowing that the craft experience is just so different. I mean, it's like it's almost, it should be, and I think it will be, in a completely different group, and it will have its own regulations, and it will have its own standard of excellence and all that good stuff. I mean, you could speak to that all day long, though, you Gangier. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the two, you know, how the markets, how the cannabis market goes from being this one big blob to, we've got craft and we've got big commercial, and the consumer knows the difference and can tell the difference.
And like, you know, we kind of always rail against the comparison to alcohol, but it is the closest comparison we have. And, you know, it's, you go into any liquor store and there's the craft beer section, and then you have the other section that has your Miller and your Coors and your Budweiser, and maybe a few other large, I don't
Shiner,
think.
shout out to Shiner.
There you go. PBR, right? PBR, is that still around?
Yes, that is still around.
All right. I don't drink commercial beer like that either. If I'm drinking beer, I'm drinking a microbrew or a really small craft brew. So
yeah,
same type of thing. But you know, for a while there was no craft beer. Like the large scale beer literally beat craft beer to death. There was nothing there. My recollection is all of a sudden there was like Sierra Nevada. And then there was Sierra Nevada and some other small local breweries. And then it just started gaining traction. And now it's like when we travel, we're like, I'm always going like, ooh, what's your local beer? Yeah, I'm like, I want to drink what's local. I want it on draft. I want it to be like 3 blocks that direction. And and I think cannabis will move that way. I'm hoping we don't have to go through this massive extinction event to get there. But
truly.
You know, it's debatable.
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time for craft beer and stuff to come up, so it'll be interesting to see what happens, because right now the market's completely upside down for the farmer. Even if, you know, the people take less taxes from the chain all the way down, the farmer's not ever going to get any more money. You know, it's much like freedom. You can get freedoms taken away from you. You can pretty much never get them back. That's the way it works. They
don't give them back.
Yeah,
you have a different kind of freedom. It just, you know, chips away, but it's what you got. Sorry, Texan, depresso Texan. I do have to say, just to pause the conversation, I think it is important to recognize that we're dealing with a national tragedy right now, you know, due to the tragic shooting in Uvalde yesterday. It's about 85 miles from where I am right now. And it's senseless murder is, it's a tragedy for us all. And so I just, you know, my heart goes out to those who are really suffering, truly suffering, you know, those growers in Uvalde. I know growers in Uvalde. You know, so hearts out to those people and those families.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears and let's talk about pruning. Let's talk about plants. Let's get our hands on some plants.
I have a mosquito getting me. Yeah, let's talk about pruning. Pruning is something that is hotly debated, right? It's a constant conversation with growers. Do you take off the fan leaves? Do you leave them on? Do you take off the bottom branches? Do you take off the top branches? Do you top it? Do you top it once? Do you top it twice? You know, what do you do? How do you do it? What do you want to do? And then you're also like, how much time do you have? Because that's a huge part of this. So this actually was oh my gosh, Aaron is going to tell me. I can't remember the name of it. It's a 2-to-1 CBD to THC plant. Alien something.
Alien orange something.
Sometimes. I just got her yesterday. I'm very attached to her already. I'm going to give her a new name. But anyway, I love this plant because it's quite obvious that it's been topped. I'll see if we can get a really good view on what's going on in the center here. Kind of right there. You can tell, I
In
don't know
the
if you
middle
can
of the
tell, but
note,
it has definitely been, there we go. Hold it back further.
Yeah, hold it back like this. You can see there's 3 tops.
Well,
instead of one.
no, I know, but I was trying to get into the
wide.
point of like, there was a growing top here in the center that has been nipped back. And what that does when you take off the growing tip at the very top is you're forcing that plant to actually put its energy into sending these laterals out. It doesn't have that one growth tip anymore. This is the same technique they use in fruit trees, actually. You want to have your growth start to be a structure going out rather than straight up. So you end up with all these extra branches. And in this case, you know, I have left this alone, but basically what I start to do at this point is I start to clear out this interiors. And if you're removing all of these little interior nurdles and, you know, some of the leaves, just so it creates more airflow, I've found that this is a really good technique when the plant's at this stage. I'm not taking off too much, and eventually I'll take this branch off right here because it's very small and weak and it's not going to do a lot, but I probably want to make clones of this. So I'll wait until this is bigger so that I can clone it. The same thing with this little branch that's over here.
Okay,
and the
wait.
same thing
Pause.
with
You
this
said what you're going to want to do. You're not taking them off yet because you want to make clones of those. Oh, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. Okay. First though, okay, yeah, no, keep going. And when would you take them off to clone them?
I like my plants to have basically thicker stems like this. What I've found is that, and I'm not the best cloner, I will admit it, okay? I do okay, but I'm not like in a nursery cloning 1,000 plants a day, and you know, those people I'm like, woo, you guys are good. So for me, what I found is that doing this as more of something that I do not on a regular basis, not as a part of a business strategy that's going to net me more money because I'm selling clones, but rather something that I'm keeping my genetics going, or I'm creating plants for my next planting of my light dep. Or if you're a small indoor grower and you want to have your plants for your next grow when you harvest, you need to have a separate room with a vegetative cycle, and you need to have plants for that. If you have something that you love, you can clone it, keep it going for your next round. And in that case, super thick woody material, like, which way am I going? This way. Like this stem, this doesn't clone very well for me. I do not have great success with really thick, not for me. It will rot. It doesn't pop roots. It just ends up getting gushy and mushy. And the same with really thin plants. I actually have an easier. So you want it to be woody, like hard, but not thick, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, same thing. When you have a plant that has a lot, will you grab me one of those ones right there? When you have a plant that has a lot of fast vegetative growth on the top of it, I found the same thing. If your plant stem is not woody at all, if it's really soft and green, so like this seedling has a very soft greenness to it. And when you're at home, what you'll notice is it's almost a velvety texture. It's not scratchy yet. Whereas this clone, these are scratchy. So scratchy clones well, and soft and velvety just turns into mush. And super
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
We're doing great.
About a half of an inch in diameter. I struggle to have it clone unless I'm using something like Hormex, which is a IBA. It's an acid that has a lot of rooting hormones in it, and that I've been able to get some pretty phenomenal, starts going with things that you wouldn't expect would actually pop roots. Uh, just use the pillow and water and keep it pretty easy going. But again, I make sure, like, I've been doing this for long enough to know that that's going to take me 3 weeks to get good roots at least. So
Right.
I'll give myself more time in that so that it can do it naturally rather than pushing out some weird hulky roots that honestly I'm just like, whoa, it's a little terrifying. If you're in a point that you are, it really
Yeah.
is. It's like, whoo.
Shouldn't be that
But if
bad.
you're at a point that this is, if you're farming or if this is your medicine and you're running out and you are in crunch time and you have to shorten that rooting cycle by a few weeks, there's a product called Hormex and it works great. You can also make your own using willow. So if you have access to a willow tree anywhere near you, you can make a willow tea. So you literally would just going to take little snippets of the growth part of the willow is the best part. It has the most hormones in it, the most enzymes, the most active acids.
For the new growth?
New
Or-
growth.
Got it. Okay.
New growth. In my understanding of it, actually. Haven't done a side by side of old growth versus new growth, but word on the street is the new growth is best.
Yeah.
And you just boil it. You boil it until it takes on a slight color or tinge, and then you strain it out. And there's this wonderful lady named Sherry who just told us that she's like, oh yeah, I'll make it once and then I'll save it and it lasts for about a year. I was like, oh, amazing.
Yeah, there's some people that just do sun teas. You can just soak it in water and do a sun tea. Willow roots really actively on its own because it has really high levels of the IBA that's in Hormex, which is an auxin. But yeah, that's why.
Say it. What is it? It's
indole 3-butyric acid.
That's the one.
Is what IBA is.
Okay, indole 3-butyric acid. And was that considered organic? Like if I used that, could I not say that my
it's something that plants make? But
I actually want to say that Hormex might.
I'm not sure how they actually produce Hormex, so I couldn't speak on that. I know that a lot of people in the regenerative space tend to shy away from that kind of stuff, just because it has, it seems like a chemical, whether it is or not, whether the way it's produced is harmful. I really couldn't speak on that. We definitely don't like to talk about things that we don't know about, but now I'm interested. I think Wendy's going to try to figure it out.
Yeah, it's not OMRI certified, and truthfully, I don't put a lot of stock in OMRI certifications anyway.
It's a little pay to play.
So and it's also costs money and it comes in a plastic bottle. So usually you can walk around just about anywhere and find some kind of willow tree. So, you just go out with some pruners in a plastic bag early in the morning and
I love that. I love that so much. Gosh. Okay. So that brings me to, I think, the next topic of conversation that I wanted to touch on is KNF fertilizing regimen. Okay. I've been thinking a lot and I think I'm frozen again. And this is really frustrating. No. Am I frozen or no?
You're good on my side.
No,
okay, cool. Sorry. So I have this banana tea that I made for my house plants. And I kind of feel like, I've been thinking about you guys. And I'm like, I need to know when.
Well, you should have been, Liz, because yeah, you're a meme in our group. Yeah. So in our Facebook group, there's a couple of memes that get shared around. There's two kind of hot button things that we rip people on pretty instantly, and one of them is banana tea.
We don't rip people on them. We
No,
strongly
yeah, sure.
re-educate
Please.
that we're fairly certain Chiquita Banana at some point somehow got their hands on some kind of organic grower and like manipulated them into thinking that banana tea is this wonderful source of potassium.
I don't know what it is. It stinks to high heaven, but my plants really seem to like it. Like I don't know. And I mix it with some, I don't know, I mix it with water and I am not crazy. They do seem to like brighten up when I give it to them. So I don't know. But I do know that it has more to do with just whatever chemical reactions are happening in this just brewing tea of quasi organic things.
A couple things to think about, right? Like you can definitely feed your plants and how you're doing, which is just letting food or grass or other plants putrefy. That it's actually there's a really common system called JDAM. So that would be considered JDAM liquid fertilizer. Farmers have been doing that forever, letting shit rot and put it on their garden. The thing with bananas is they're usually sprayed with a lot of pesticides. So when you're talking about using things for your cannabis plants, which are really good bioaccumulators, they take up everything from the soil, including pesticides. Probably not the best thing to use. There's also way better sources of potassium.
If that's what you're after.
Right, if that's what you're after.
I'm just talking houseplants. I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not growing up obsessed with it. That's why.
But houseplants are the same. And I mean, and the other thing too is like people are like, well, my bananas are organic. There's a lot of like copper-based fungicides that are approved for use in organics and a lot of other weird pesticides and herbicides that are still approved for use in organics, and bananas are one of the like dirtiest fruits out, quote unquote dirty fruits. The only reason why it doesn't make the dirty dozen list is because you peel it and you're not eating the peel. But if you're feeding it to your plants, you're still running into this possible problem of what exactly you're putting on there. But basically what you've done with that tea is you really have just liquefied the nutrients and trace minerals that are in whatever it is that you're liquefying. So comfrey is a great plant. I would highly recommend you make a comfrey tea instead of a banana tea. And see,
Find
just
something
see
growing around you.
There's the comfrey we have is called a Bocking 14 cultivar, and it doesn't reseed. So if you want something that is a nice bushing plant that doesn't like take over everything, look for the Bocking 14 cultivar. You can get a root stock from, I think I got mine from Etsy like 5 years ago, and I've divided them up, and I mean they're beautiful plants. They're bioaccumulators of just about everything. It's a phenomenal plant. So if you want to make something that will still stink because you are putrefying something with water, but you don't have to do it that way either. You could also make a hot tea and cool it and take the plant material out and get a lot of that same nutrient capabilities and trace minerals in your solution that you can use for your plants.
Or you could do a KNF ferment.
Right.
Yes.
Which is kind of what she was asking about in the beginning.
Yeah, but then I bombed you with the banana meme. So let's talk KNF fertilizer.
Yeah, so Korean natural farming has 3 bases. So, when we're talking about like baking bread, you always use flour, you always use water, you always use salt. You can add all kinds of other things in that bread to make different flavors and different textures and, whatever. But those 3 are always going to be in there. So with Korean natural farming, we have fermented plant juice, we have oriental herbal nutrient, and we have a live vinegar or a grain vinegar. Or ideally a live grain vinegar if you're, really going to go down the route of making all of your own ferments and all of your own inputs. But that's going to be the base of every single Korean natural farming fertilizer. Those three things. Always 1 to 500 ratio for FPJ, fermented plant juice, a 1 to 500 ratio of BRV or brown rice vinegar, and a 1 to 1000 ratio of OHN or oriental herbal nutrient. And then once you get that base, you can use that once a week as a foliar. You can use it as a soil drench. Which is kind of great because most things use at a lower rate for foliar. This is the same. Whether you're putting it in the soil or on your plant, it's always going to be the same ratio. And then you can read your plant and see, well, if I'm in vegetative cycle, so like this plant that we have, she needs some micronutrients. She might need a little bit of nitrogen, but not really too much. Mostly she wants trace minerals and micronutrients. And so we will do a 1 to 30 seawater, so literally ocean water. So basically for every like gallon of, if you were making a 30-gallon batch, you would use 1 gallon of ocean water to 30 gallons of water.
Wow.
Or, 1 milliliter to 30 milliliters of water.
So you would add
and people kind of freak out about that.
So wait. What do people kind of freak out about? Finish that thought, because I have a question about seawater.
People freak out because they think salt, and they think when you put salt on your plants, you're killing them, right? They used to salt the fields in Rome, I think it was, to starve the people out because you would literally be killing the crops and it was unplantable. But this is a very, very minor amount. It's the same salinity as our blood, I believe, and as plant blood or plant sap. Plant sap has salinity in it. The other thing with seawater is it is in a natural balance with all of the trace minerals in like exactly what the plant needs. So you have all those trace minerals, including sodium, so including NaCl. Na actually, NaCl. I'd have to double check. I haven't looked into this in so long. It's just part of what we do now. I'm like, oh yeah, all those little details. But yeah, so it's got the sodium in it, which is fine. It's got, magnesium, zinc, sulfur. It's just
like 140.
140, I think. Yeah.
Something. It's crazy. So basically, think about it like this: everywhere that humans have been growing on the planet consistently, valleys that have been fertile, coastlines that have been fertile, that's because ocean water literally gets sprayed up on the land and it remineralizes that area. And we're not dumping straight seawater on our soil or our plants. We're diluting it. Basically just giving it micronutrients. So instead of going and buying that bottle of Dynagrow or whatever, that is, nutrients from a lab, and those are all salts too. So when it's a little bit different, but it's just a way to get all those micronutrients in a really balanced form.
And it's free.
Yeah, you can go get buckets of it if you're by the ocean. And you can make it at home. You can just put salt in water. What is it? It's like a 1 to 30, right?
No, it's different. I would have to look it up. What if you're not
like seawater and salt water? It's like seawater. It's really like life is, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
But you can hack this. So if you're in like Ohio and you're like, yeah, I'm not driving 24 hours to the ocean or however far it is, I don't know. Further. If you're somewhere where you're landlocked and this is not a reality, you're not going to be able to get to the ocean, you can actually use a sea salt. Just make sure there's no caking agents in it or non-caking agents in it. So it needs to be pure sea salt. A lot of people use C90 as their, sea salt input. And you are going to add 1 gram of sea salt per liter of finished fertilizer. So if you're making a gallon of fertilizer, you're going to put in 3.785 grams of sea salt into that gallon. And that's going to be the same thing as your 1 to 30 ratio of seawater.
Okay. We're gonna have to post this somewhere. I mean, this is just like, God, you're like a human calculator chemist, cannabis chemist. So this is going to be fun. Okay. So that's really, really fascinating. Now I want to ask you one thing about the OON. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is and, just introduce the layperson to OON?
OHN.
OHN, OHN.
OHN, yeah.
I
But
can't
like
even read my own
OON.
handwriting. I'm like taking notes like a crazy person here. You should see my paper. Okay, so OHN.
Yeah, so OHN is Oriental Herbal Nutrient, and it's based in Chinese medicine, and it has 5 different herbs in it. So it's angelica, garlic, ginger, cinnamon, and licorice. And you'll notice when you think about those herbs, the flavors of them, they're all warming, right? They're all these warming herbs. Angelica is one that most people are probably less familiar with, but it's also called Dongguai, Qui. And there's a lot of species of Angelica, but that one, the Angelica gigas, is preferred. Angelica sinensis is second choice. Angelica archangel is the third choice. Anything past that will still work, but it doesn't taste good. And that's really the key difference with Korean natural farming is every fertilizer that we make for our plants, we make for ourselves as well. So we ingest it as humans. You can get it on you, you can get it in you. It's a health tonic. If you're feeling peckish, you can drink some WCA and get some calcium into you. Oriental Herbal Nutrient I take daily, and it's an immune booster basically. So what it's doing is it's activating your respiratory system and your cardiovascular system, and it's getting your blood pumping, and it's doing the same thing for the plants. It's getting them revved up, and they're able to move things through their system better. This is all theoretically. I asked the plant and that's what she said, but
and you've won a few awards, okay? And you've won a few awards to prove it. So
we've won a few.
Yeah, you're not just rolling up on the street with all these false promises. You know what you're doing. I think that's so incredible, though, that you all ingest the same thing that you give to your plant. I mean, that's just why not? It makes so much sense, but it's just such a foreign concept, I think, for so many people. Like, what? You need that fertilizer? Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, and it's tasty.
Nice. Well, okay, guys, so we're almost out of time for tonight, but I want to make sure that people know where to find you two in between now and next month when you come back to host the workshop.
Yeah, so we're online at www.cannabis.com. We're on Facebook for organic cultivators. We're also online, organiccultivators.net. And we have a really cool bug crawling on our screen. Instagram under Cannabis. And he flies. And if you want to actually come and hang out with us in person, you can come to our Korean natural farming class, which is going to be here in Humboldt County at the end of, oh wow, look at that. James is fancy.
This is what I wanted. This is what I was waiting for.
That's so fancy.
Through this. Yes.
So cool. So the Korean natural farming class is a 5-day intensive. So you'll get all of this and then some smashed into 5 days. And by day 3, your brain kind of turns into jelly for a minute or two. And then, by day 5, you go home and you're like, I can't wait to do this. That'll be here in Humboldt County, June 26th through July 1st. Or if you're not in for 5 days, you can come to Oklahoma on July
29th, 30th, and 31st.
We're looking at it right here. Amazing.
I can't read it. I'm like, I forgot.
Yeah, which is also my birthday weekend. So y'all come down and party and
come up.
We'll have a good time. You'll learn a bunch of stuff. And if you haven't already, go check out the YouTube channel. We started putting up videos from the first conference. And
look, this is funny. I'm bald, I have hair. Backgrounds on Zoom are weird. Also, just to let people know that the Oklahoma conference is sliding scale. So we did that because we feel this information is so incredibly important that we unfortunately we can't do it for free. We wish we could, but for those of you that can't afford a full price ticket, I think that they're starting at $150, so $50 a day. For those of you who are able to be more of a sustaining member and pay a larger amount, that will help those people that can't pay so much. And we're really excited to be able to do that and try and get as many people, coming with us and joining us on this journey of, really organic, regenerative, sustainable farming, even in indoors. There's ways to do this inside as opposed to, you don't have to have a 1,000-acre farm.
Yes.
There is no limit either. You can do this at massive scale. You can do it at micro level. You can do it in your container garden on your patio in your, condo that's 21 stories up. All of it's possible.
Yeah, and it'll save you money no matter what scale you're at. So that's kind of the trip I'm on, is getting everyone to realize that this will save you money. And there's, even if you don't believe in saving the planet, save your pocketbook some money and you'll help us save the planet anyway. But and there's a lot of farming out there that don't connect because they all have their own little dogmas happening. But the conference has been a good place for all those people to come together and connect. And there's some really, really cool people there. And there's going to be more speakers and more time. Longer days this time. So, man, be rested when you come.
Yes.
Get 'em.
Yes. It was I can vouch. It was such an amazing time in Sturbridge in February. I learned so much. And again, I don't grow yet. And it felt great to be around such thought leadership and, vision, for the future, for a better product, first of all, for patients, and then, an easier time on the planet and easier on you, right? Who wants to be spending all of this money on, fertilizers, dumping out soil? I mean, growing can be very expensive, which is why I think it's just so wonderful to learn from those, to learn from y'all, and Humboldt. You've not created these regenerative practices, but you've honed them, and you're sharing this information with all growers. And, we're really grateful for that, James and Wendy. Thank you. That is all the time we have for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for joining us in our workshop. I want to remind everybody that we're back on June 9th for a live episode of Calling All Growers. We're going to have OG breeders and cultivators, Greg OG and Alfie from Reefer Man Genetics. And I've been emailing back and forth with these guys all week, and they have got so many incredible stories about being the keepers of very, 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 very important genetics and regenerative grow practices, and what it's like being an OG in kind of a new cannabis world. So it's going to be a really, really fun conversation on June 9th. So don't miss that. And again, Wendy and James will be back at the fourth Wednesday of every month for the Calling All Growers workshop. So, come back. You have not heard the last of them. One more time, guys. Tell us how we can find you.
Cannabis.com, Cannabis on Instagram, Organic Cultivators on Instagram, and organiccultivators.net, where you can find natural farming recipes and videos, as well as information on the conferences.
Yes, love it, love it. I think I'm going to be seeing you guys in Oklahoma. I mean, it's your birthday, James, and I'm just down here in Texas. Any excuse to get to a legal market and learn more.
Dope.
I'm into it. Calling All Growers is produced by Pro Cannabis Media and Grow House Media with generous support from our sponsors. I'll see you at our live show in 2 weeks. On June 9th, we'll be with Greg OG and the Reefer Man, Alfie. And until then, I'm Liz Grow, and I'm calling all growers. See you next time.
Your Grow Kit. It is everything you need to become an expert home grower and bring the power of the sun indoors. Style Lighting uses TCP's high-powered commercial LEDs that deliver twice the output in the market. The Grow Kit has a grow bag, a timer, chains to hang the light, and of course the best in the business lighting system by TCP. Check out stylelighting.shop for more information.
Hi, my name's Tai Chang. I'm the president and founder of Aloha Green Apothecary in Hawaii. We're a vertically integrated medical cannabis company with 3 dispensaries, 1 extraction lab, and 1 cultivation center near the North Shore of Oahu. We have over 150 employees now, and we've been working with Adaptive HR to meet our human resource needs. We're super excited to work with them as we expand, and we've grown at least 2-3 times over the last 2 years. So we look forward to a good relationship with Adaptive, and come visit us in Hawaii anytime. Aloha.